morning, good afternoon, and good evening, whenever or wherever you're watching or listening. This is the Awesemo NHL DFS Strategy Show, and I'm your host, Michael Clifford, a.k.a. Slim Cliffy. Joining me for the next hour to sing Mitch Marner's praises and to talk about how awesome Austin Matthews is, our single-entry assassin, Joshua Harris. Josh, how you doing today, bud?
Doing pretty good. Nice little four-gamer tonight, but I feel like we're going to have to talk about last night a little bit.
Yeah, we are going to have to talk about last night a little bit. Before we get too far, I just want to thank Yahoo Fantasy. They are the sponsor for our show, and we will have a little giveaway for first-time Yahoo Fantasy users later on in the show. So stick around if you want to get maybe some free money from Yahoo. So thanks again to Yahoo. We'll talk about them in a little bit. Yeah, let's talk about last night's slate. Of course, we got to give a shout-out to our boy, Jake Harry, our boss. Took down the 20K, the NHL Tuesday 20, first place. Solo first as well. I think he maxed it out, the 150, took this down with one of his 150 lineups. He went with Toronto 1, full Toronto 1, and then Suzuki, Gallagher, and Anderson, kind of with Petrie, kind of like a broken even strength line, but worked for Montreal. And then got the shutout from Jake Allen. I think that's kind of what sunk me last night, was like all my goalies were in the late games, and then the three early games were all shutouts, and it's like, I don't think I'm getting a shutout out of this one. But the coup de grace, probably what put him over the top, 27.5 points for Mario Ferraro. He had a goal, 3 shots, an assist. He had the block bonus. Not long ago, I called Mario Ferraro the new Mikey Anderson. And then like 3 days later, he helps our boss bank 20K. That's just kind of how it goes here. We slander somebody, and then somebody in the chat plays that person, and then they win a bunch of money playing that person, while we just keep slandering people and losing money between the two of us. But shout out to Jake. Good on him. I know he had been talking about, and it's something we should actually take some time to talk about here, because we talked about it in our Discord chat a little earlier today. About winning and losing during the DFS season, how, ups and downs, peaks and valleys and things like that. And I think Jake is a good one to bring up, because he was talking about, it was like 2 or 3 days ago, 1% finishes is something that we talk about here. It's how often your lineups get into the top 1% of a tournament. You want to get 1% finishes. Obviously, you're going for first place, but at a certain point, like I think Jake said it was like a last minute shot block or a last minute shot from Ferraro, like literally the last minute in the last game, put him into first place, and it was an extra, 15K or whatever in his pocket. Like, that's how thin the margins we're talking about here. Like, I remember, a much lesser bank. I had a bank down a couple of years ago. It was the same thing. The last game of the night, Dustin Brown blocked a shot with the empty net with about 15 seconds left, and it put me in first place. Like, you can't always just, you want first place, but you have to aim to get towards the top, and you just want to give yourself as many opportunities once you get to the top to try and get that first place. So Jake was talking about his 1% finishes. He was actually down on the season, I believe, going into yesterday, but he had like 2% of his lineups were 1% finishes. So he knew eventually he was going to break out, and sure enough, he did a couple days later. So I want to get your thoughts on this, because I typically play MME. So like I'll go through a cold month or two, maybe even 3, but generally not longer than that. Usually I have, even if I'm cold for a couple months, I'll bank something and it'll help me out. When you're a single entry or a 3 max guy, it was something that we talked about in Discord earlier. You could honestly do well through the season, like have, 2% of your lineups be 1% of your lineups, and lose and be a losing player, because it's not because you made bad lineups or because you chose the wrong players or anything like that. It's simply, once you get towards the top of the lineup, you are looking at a late block shot, a shot on goal that was added as a stat correction, a flurry of saves at the end of a game. Those are the things that separate first place from fifth place. And sometimes you do have to be skilled to get to the top, but you have to be a little bit lucky to win. And I think that's something people kind of need to keep in mind, especially in a game like NHL, which can be very, very fluky.
Yeah. And the past 3 seasons, besides this one where I started getting into cash, I was a single entry high stakes GPP player. I play 700-800 a night. I didn't go up to the 1,500. I'd play the 333 and down. And, it's the most mentally challenging thing. Like, because if MME, you play 150 and 149 fail, and you have that one go off, you're going to have a positive night. But in single entry, if, your lineup sucks right at the beginning of the night, like there's no chance of coming back. So you just have to stay mentally tough. Like you can go through stretches where you lose 6 weeks in a row and then you bank a GPP and your season's made. You know what I mean? Like single entry GPP is one of the toughest things you have to do, especially in the world of optimizers now, like trying to beat out these 150 max optimized lineups, Jake, like doing that kind of thing. So you stick to, the 3 max, you stick to single entries, you put it into the, the big MME just, for FOMO in case you do hit the absolute, like you hit the scenes, like you hit the absolute nuts and but you generally stick to the 3 max, gives you a better chance, like the 153 max, the 121 single entry if you're up there, the 40 is usually like 7 max. So, you're going to go through very cold stretches as a single entry GPP player. It's just going to happen. Like on these bigger slates, there's just so much you like, and you can't fit everybody into one lineup. So, you just got to stay positive because if you do win, your season's probably going to be a net positive and you can go from there.
Yeah, I think that's the thing to remember, right? It's like 1 or 2 tournaments, whether single entry or 150 max or 20 max or 3 max or whatever you do, 1 or 2 tournaments are going to make or break your year, right? If there's a tournament where you finish in 4th instead of 1st, it could break your year. If there's a tournament where you finish in 1st instead of 4th, it could make your year. And like we said, a late shot on goal will be the difference there. And those are the razor thin margins we're talking about here. So if you are down on the season, and like full disclosure here, I'm down on the season to start. But it's not a big thing for me. Like it's 3 weeks, being down for 3 weeks is nothing. Like I've been down for 3 months before, and then had like a big second half of the season to bring me out of the hole. Like you just have to realize in DFS, like you do have to be good to be near the top, but you have to be lucky to get to the top. So just kind of stick with it. Know your limits. Like if you have a $1,000 bankroll, don't play $400 a night or something like that. Know your limits. Talk to one of us, talk to myself or Josh, or, Jake's the one winning. So go talk to him. If you're kind of getting down and you feel like, maybe you just need picking up. I even told a couple people, like, if you're going through a tough stretch, there's nothing wrong with taking a weekend off and just getting away. You know what I mean? Like take a weekend off, go hiking, go read some books, go spend time with your family, whatever it is that you do. And then come back on the Monday or Tuesday, be a little bit refreshed, go at it again. It's just the one piece of advice I would give everybody: keep track of your 1% finishes. If you finish 20th out of 2,000 people, that's 1% finish. If you finish 20th out of 1,000 people, it's not. So just keep on looking for your placements. If you're above 1%, you should be good to go in the future. But again, if you ever want to talk things out, find Josh, find me, find Jake, either in Discord or on Twitter, or anybody else that sits in there. We have a lot of other winning players in the chat that can help you out. So don't get too discouraged. It's only the first week of November. We're only 3 weeks into the season. We have a long time to go. So just try to keep your head up. And we will get through this. Not everybody can win 20K every other week like Jake Harry does. Anything else you want to talk about looking ahead to tonight's slate? We have a lot of late games, I think, is the one thing that jumped out to me. The first game starts at 8:30 Eastern. Another game starting at that same time, then one at 9 Eastern, one at 10 Eastern. Seems like you won't know really where you're sitting. Is this, it doesn't really seem like a late swap slate to me because all the games start within 90 minutes of each other. What do you think about this slate here tonight, Josh?
Yeah, there's I don't know. It's kind of interesting because there's 2 road favorites too. You know what I mean? So like this slate is a mess, and it's probably going to be pretty concentrated with ownership. And there's a bunch of studs on the slate. There's McKinnon, there's McDavid, there's Draisaitl, there's Patty Kane, who DK priced down after he had a hat trick. There's Philip Forsberg. There's, all the Canes, even though they put, Martinook on the top line. There's the Blues, who aren't getting Ryan O'Reilly back. There's the Kings top line with Elias Anderson. So it's like there's not like a layup on this slate. You're going to have to make some decisions between the studs. There's not many full lines that are going to be like, yeah, let's full stack them. So I think this is a pretty good 4-gamer for GPPs where you're going to have to make the decisions on your lineups. And I think, the more you have to think on these shorter slates, I think the better it is. Like sometimes when it fits too easy, it's like the adage, if it's too good to be true, it usually is, you know what I mean? So, think like going through each game, making decisions is probably better for everyone's process.
Yeah. And we will go through each game. We will go through those one by one. But before we do that, see almost 60 people here, but only 15 thumbs up. So if you guys could just click a thumbs up, give us a like while you're here, and especially subscribe. The subscriptions really help keep these shows coming on a regular basis, whether it be PGA or NFL, or I guess MLB's done now. So NBA, but just click that subscription button. And you'll be able to follow along whenever we go live, or you can click the notification button and just get notified whenever we go live. We also have a bunch of free stuff up on the site today. We have free premium tools and data that we have up there almost every day. Today is no exception. So we have PGA golfer rankings, NHL player rankings, and NBA ownership rankings, all up on the site, all for free if you want to check us out. And if you're playing NBA DFS tonight, check out Adam Scherer's NBA Deep Dive. The most in-depth free NBA DFS article available everywhere. He's also kind of quietly smashing NHL so far this season. Adam Scherer, the little NHL shark that could. Good for him. All right, let's move along. Let's get to our first game. We have the Carolina Hurricanes with a 3.0 implied goal total. They're going into Chicago, and the Hawks have a 2.6 implied goal total. Tyler Johnson moved to the COVID list for the Blackhawks, but he wasn't even in the lineup for the last game, so it's not a big deal. But the coach said he's not revealing his lineup until warmups. Now, it's not a huge deal if you're only playing like 1-3-5 lineups or something like that, because it's the first game of the slate. But if you're 150ing and for some reason Colleton throws a huge curveball at us, it could be a problem 30 minutes leading up to lock. But I will say they kept their lines together all last game. So my assumption right now, they won 5-1, I believe. So my assumption right now, 5-1 win where they kept all the lines together. At the very least, they're going to start the game with those lines. So that's my assumption there. I think there's lots to like here on both sides. What do you like, Josh?
Yeah, if the Hawks are going to keep their lines together, I do like that top line, Kubalik, Doc, Kane. I don't know why Kane is 6,500. He was 6,800 last game, had a hat trick, had 4 points, I believe. He had like almost 50 DK points, and DraftKings, put on the blindfold and played pin the tail on the donkey and lowered his price. So I think, he's going to be pretty popular tonight. The thing is, this is a pretty tough matchup. I don't really like what the Canes did with their top line, putting Martinook up there. Kind of turns me off here a little bit, but like the Blackhawks.
Man, your choice of words. Come on.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's no coming back from that.
Nope.
Yeah. So the Blackhawks aren't very good defensively. So, I mean, I think like you can leave Martinook off the top line here and do like an Aho Teravainen type deal, or, power play stack. You can do like Aho Teravainen Svechnikov. You can do, Trocheck, Aho, Teravainen, get the two centers in there. But if I was going to full stack a line from this game, I think it would be Carolina 2, Svechnikov, Trocheck. Netchus is best when he's with Trocheck. Their ownership is in check, 5%. I think that's a good target for GPPs. There isn't a line on the Blackhawks that scares me defensively. The one thing that I will say, like in the beginning of the season, Marc-Andre Fleury looked terrible because on top of that, the Hawks, defense has been terrible, but Fleury seems like he's settling in a little bit. And you figured his save percentage was going to regress to the mean a little bit here. So he's playing much better, but he's an aging goalie, but the goalies are streaky. So I'd be a bit careful. I kind of like Fleury tonight as well, because Carolina is a pretty high shot volume team, but a little bit of Chicago one, some DeBrincat one-offs. I don't mind that third line either. But this isn't a great matchup at home against the Hawks. But, Carolina 2, Carolina power play for me as well.
Yeah, I wrote up, I think I wrote up both sides of this game in my power plays article this morning for stacks. And I want to talk about the Carolina side first. Andrei Svechnikov moving down with Vincent Trocheck. Now, believe it or not, it's something I wrote about in my Power Plays article. We have a free Power Plays article, by the way. Anybody wants to check out some of our writing, it's either myself or Vots or Josh that do the articles through the week. Mine is up now on the site, and I talk about Carolina too, and I talk about Andrei Svechnikov. Believe it or not, Svech's numbers improve with Trocheck as opposed to Sebastian Aho. I'm not sure exactly why that is, because Aho is clearly the better offensive player. I think it might be like something like matchups, right? Like Aho's going to get the tougher matchups when they're on the road, so it allows Svech and Trocheck easier matchups. Maybe that's something to do with it. But yeah, I wrote in that Power Plays article about how much better Svechnikov's the Carolina's offensive numbers were with Svechnikov with Trocheck as opposed to Sebastian Aho. So I really like that Carolina 2 line here tonight, especially where, Jonathan Toews and, Hagel and them are probably going to see a lot of Aho in that matchup. And there's just nothing. Like, Chicago's bad defensively, but I think that Hagel-Toews line can be fine. After that, there's nothing. There is nothing defensively to stop Carolina. So I really, really like that Carolina 2 line. And something that we mention often is leaving all 3 players together as the stack. Martin Necas, his ownership is considerably lower than the rest of them. And just leaving the 3 players together in the stack, I think, is a fine way to get different. Like that Carolina line, we have them as one of the top 4 lines tonight by chances to go off. And we have them at 6% ownership. Even if that comes up to 10%, that's still far too low. Carolina 2, I'm not going to say they're my favorite line of the slate. Like we still have Connor McDavid coming up later, but Carolina 2 outside of Edmonton is my favorite line on the entire slate. I love them today. They are expensive, but again, I would just leave all 3 players together in a stack, and I think they're going to run wild on the depth for Chicago. So that's where I'm at on the Carolina side. Like, if you want to leave off Necas and throw on Aho to go for a full power play stack, I don't have a serious problem with that, but I'm more focusing on the even strength here. It's on the Chicago side where I'm focusing more on the power play. Carolina has a pretty good penalty kill, but they are taking the most penalties of any team in the league. And Chicago's not a good team, but the one thing they have been good at this year is a good power play. Top 10 by shot attempts, top 10 by expected goals, top 10 by actual goals. Like, they actually have a good power play, and Carolina's been giving up 5 power plays a game. I'm not super excited about playing Chicago here, but it's a 4-game slate. There are only so many spots to go. If you're not going to play Edmonton and you want to stay away from, Edmonton, Colorado chalk, this seems like the very obvious spot to me. So Carolina 2, one of my favorite spots on the entire slate. I think I'm only playing 1 to 3 lineups tonight. I'm absolutely going to be getting them in my 1 to 3 lineups. One guy I want to mention is Philip Kurashev for the Blackhawks. His shot rate, he only had a couple shots in his first few games, but I think he's at the top of the team over the team's last 6 games. Since their road trip, they started on a 3-game road trip, I believe. And since that road trip, he leads the team in shot rate. So I don't mind Kurashev as a one-off necessarily here. I don't think I really want to dip down to the third lines in this game. We will talk about third lines later on. I do like Borgstrom, but he's just coming back from the COVID list, hasn't had a ton of time to acclimate. So, if anything, I think I would go to the Carolina 3 side here. Kotkaniemi jumps down with Jordan Staal. I think that's a better role for him than skating on the top line with Sebastian Aho. So Kotkaniemi and Staal and Fast going against the third and fourth lines from Chicago here. I don't mind 2-manning Staal and Kotkaniemi if you want to fit in, with your more expensive Edmonton or Colorado stacks or something like that. So that's where I am on this game. Carolina 2 full stack, Carolina 3 2-man, Chicago power play stack. That's what I'm focusing on in this game for forwards. On the blue line, I wrote up Brett Pesce in my power plays article because he's getting some power play 2 time. He can block shots, he can take shots, he can do all that stuff. So could make a nice little 3-man Kotkaniemi, Staal, Pesce if you want to do something like that. Carolina 2. I don't mind. I like Seth Jones as well. He has 2 shot bonuses already on the year. He has 3 shot block bonuses already on the year, 1 combo meal, and he hasn't even scored a goal yet. Those goals are going to come. I do like Seth Jones 6K as well. Is there anybody else sticking out to you?
If you need a punt, Calvin DeHaan, you can fit him in at 2,700. I think that's fine. Same on the Carolina side with the punt, Ethan Bear. But I agree with what you just said about Seth Jones. I do worry about paying $6K. I know we have him for 20% ownership, but if you're trying to slam in like McDavid, McKinnon, some of these other expensive guys, Seth Jones is going to go overlooked. So I think he's going to come in lower on than 20%.
Yeah, and speaking of ownership, I was kind of surprised. I don't know if I should say that. A little bit surprised. The Chicago ownership, 16%. Like, I get it. Patrick Kane is really cheap. Kubalik, probably underrated. I don't know if I'm like, do I want to play them at 16%? I'd rather play Carolina 2 at 5%. You know what I mean?
All day.
Yeah. So, I'm not stacking a Chicago line. Like I said, I would just power play stacks. So something like Taves, Kane, Jones, Taves, like Ryan Carpenter's up there now for some reason. So like Taves and Carpenter and Kane or something like that. That's where I would be focusing for Chicago. Take advantage of Carolina's inability to stay out of the penalty box. In goal, I wrote up Marc-Andre Fleury, but it's mainly just a shot volume case, like in case Carolina scores 2 or fewer goals. What do you think about the goalies here?
Yeah, I like Marc-Andre Fleury. He's probably the cheapest option I would go to tonight. I worry about Saros back-to-back on the road. Korpisalo's got the Avalanche, maybe there, but 7,500 is probably about as low as I go in goal tonight. And I like Fleury. He's been playing well. He's streaky. So Freddie Anderson, 7,900 is not too bad either. I do worry about the amount of penalties Carolina's been taking though.
Yeah, it's a lot. That's the one thing that worries me about Anderson is like, Chicago has a tough time generating offense at 5-on-5. And if all they're doing is generating high percentage shots on the power play, that's not a goalie I want to roster, right? Yeah. Fleury would probably be the only goalie I'd really look towards in this game. To get access to all the Awesemo Plus tools and content for nearly every DFS sport out there with an Awesemo Plus weekly pass for $29.95. This includes full access to all their premium content and tools on Awesemo.com, including player projections, ownership projections, our premium Slack channel, lineup builder, and a whole lot more. Slack channel, Discord. I'm going to keep saying that for the rest of the season, I swear to God. If you're a new user to Awesemo Plus Platinum, then you can take advantage of the promo code we have for this show, which is NHL Strategy Show, all capital letters, all one word. That's NHL Strategy Show for 25% off your first week of Awesemo Plus Platinum. You can find the link to activate this coupon in the description of the video below. Of course, if you're only looking to play NHL DFS and you can sign up for one of our Awesemo Plus NHL packages, those go for as low as $3.95 a week. Stop guessing, start winning. Join Awesemo Plus today. For new users, 25% off your first week of Awesemo Plus Platinum with the promo code NHL Strategy Show, all one word, all capital letters. And if you want to check out some of our premium tools and data before investing any of your money with us, like I mentioned earlier, we do have free premium content on the site. We have PGA golf rankings for this weekend's tournament. We have NHL player rankings for tonight and NBA ownership rankings for tonight as well. So check us out over on Awesemo.com, see what we have to offer. And if you like what we have, NHL Strategy Show for your promo code. All right, let's get to the next game. This is a fascinating game for a lot of reasons, I think. Nashville 2.6 going into Edmonton. The Oilers have a 3.4 implied goal total. Nashville coming off a win, 3-2 overtime win last night in Calgary. UC Saros stood on his head, I think nearly 40 saves. I can't imagine Saros goes like I think they want to play Saros in some back-to-backs this year, but like 40 saves in overtime back-to-back. I can't imagine like against Connor McDavid. I can't imagine this is the spot. So I think it's going to be Connor Ingram going in for Nashville. I'm going to talk about him a little bit later, but obviously Connor McDavid and company are going to attract a lot of ownership, but we do have to talk about both sides of this game. So what do you like over here, Josh?
Yeah, I'm looking at the ownership projections right now, and there are two skaters on the Oilers projected higher owned than McDavid. Draisaitl, Nugent Hopkins. Okay, like give me McDavid. Like just give me McDavid if he's going to come in lower owned than Draisaitl and Nugent Hopkins. Like give me that top line. Give me Hyman at 17%. Like Edmonton 1 ownership is lower than I expected right now. If it comes up, that's still fine. I think the thing to do, especially in large field GPPs, I think, is to full stack that top line. Use Hyman, use Puljujärvi. He's not Marner. He's good. And, like he does get top power play time. It says power play 2. If you look at, shift chart, whatever you do, whatever you look at for power play time, he does split top power play time. Sometimes he takes Hyman's minutes. Sometimes he takes Nugent Hopkins. He does get some time there. So I think full stacking that line is, the best strategy to get Edmonton 1 at the lowest ownership in big field GPPs. In cash, in, shorter field GPPs, if you want to go McDavid, Hyman, Nugent Hopkins, McDavid, Hyman, Draisaitl, or just McDavid, Draisaitl, I think that's fine, but it's going to be super popular, and you're going to need to differentiate yourself a little bit elsewhere. I see Yamamoto 22% coming off his first goal. I don't want to slander him too much, because if I do, he's going to, go, have a hat trick. And, I'm not a huge Yamamoto guy, but at 2,600, I guess you could do worse. There's a lot of guys like I think I'd rather play Ryan Carpenter at min price than Kyler Yamamoto, just because he gets the power play time. So, but for me, Edmonton 1, full stacking Edmonton 1 is how I would approach, large field GPPs today. I want to full stack them. If you want a power play stack, that's perfectly fine. But if you're going to power play stack in large field GPPs, full power play stack.
Yeah.
Do McDavid, Nugent Hopkins, Draisaitl, Hyman, and Barrie. It's going to be expensive, but there's enough, value around that you can fit it in. Don't just go McDavid, Draisaitl. If they go off, great. You and 30% of your friends are there, and now you're going to have to beat those 30% with everything else. And chances are they're going to have someone else who came along for the ride there. So if you're going to do it, don't half-ass it. Just go for it. Just all the way. On the Nashville side, it's interesting because we talk about how crazy McDavid is offensively, but their numbers defensively are okay, but it's so high-paced. And they're going to get the Granlund, Forsberg, Duchesne line. And, yeah, it's back-to-back on the road, but it's a 4-game slate. And they fully correlate on the power play, and they're 5%. So, yeah, they're generating a lot of chances offensively, but they are giving up a lot defensively as well. So I really like Nashville top line in GPPs tonight. This is going to be a high-paced game. I think it's a 6 total. I'd probably bet the over in this game, but I didn't bet it. But if I was a betting man, which I am, I'd probably lean towards the over. But I do really like the Nashville top line tonight. I do kind of like that second line. I just don't like paying $6,000 for Ryjo. If you want to, put in an Ely Tolvanen one off at 3,800, I think that's fine. But for me, I'm Edmonton 1, Edmonton power play, and Nashville 1.
I'm glad you mentioned Nashville 1, because they were a line that we mentioned on the show yesterday. I just didn't get to them in my build. I think they scored all 3 goals, if I'm not mistaken. Granlund got the first one, Forsberg got the second one, and then Duchesne got the overtime winner. I hesitate to stack them, seeing as they just went off last night. Stack them again. Their numbers are insane. Like 3.7 expected goals per 60 minutes, 63 shot attempts per 60 minutes, 60% shot attempt share. Like, those are great numbers. Like, we talked about Matt Duchesne on a show, like, I want to say, like, maybe the first week of the season. He got really unlucky last year. He was one of the better play drivers in the NHL in terms of shooting and shot assists. Now, shot assists are passes that lead to shots, and there are people that track these. Like, Duchesne was honestly on par with Mikko Rantanen last year. It's just, Nashville's shooting percentage in a 2/3 of a season sample just didn't normalize. That's exactly what happened. And then Forsberg, Granlund, Duchesne is just tearing the cover off the puck. I know it's supposed to be a baseball metaphor, but whatever. So I do like that Nashville one line a lot here tonight. They're coming in with little ownership. They're coming in around Carolina 2's ownership, which is like 5%. So 150 lineups, you get 10% Nashville 1, you're double the field, and you still have, 130 lineups left to go or whatever. So I really do like that Nashville top line tonight. I'm out on Nashville 2. Nashville 3 was the line that was the other line that I wanted to talk about a little bit. It's the Jeannot Sissons line. Believe it or not, Tanner Jeannot Tanner Jeannot leads Nashville in shots over the last 6 games, in shot rate, I should say. Them and Sissons have made a decent line. Now, the problem is, like, people want to say, let's pick on Edmonton's depth. Edmonton's depth is probably the best that it's ever been, at least forward-wise, the best that it's ever been in McDavid's tenure. Like, you want to make fun of that third line, but Derek Ryan and Warren Fogle are both very good defensive players. So, like, maybe I'd one-off a Jeannot or one-off a Sissons. I don't know if Nashville 3 is where I would be looking to stack or to put in my filler stack. So that's where I'm standing on Nashville. I like the top line, out on the second line. Don't mind one-offing somebody like Jeannot or Sissons. On the Edmonton side, I think I'm more inclined to power play stack than even strength stack here. The reason being Nashville, one, they're starting Connor Ingram. Now, he's supposed to be a future number 1 goalie, and he does have good AHL numbers, but the AHL is not the NHL, and you are not facing Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl every other shift in the AHL. So, you know, maybe Ingram will be good, but for now, I'm just treating him like he's an average NHL goalie, and an average NHL goalie is nothing to fear when you have the Edmonton Oilers on your side. And not only that, but Nashville's taking the 7th most penalties of any team in the league this year, and they're on the back-to-back. So if there's a little bit of tiredness against this McDavid, Puljujarvi, Draisaitl team, you know, we could see a lot of power plays here for Edmonton, and that's just really bad news for Nashville. On top of that, I was tweeting earlier today about McDavid's numbers at 5-on-5 this year. Okay, he's averaging over 2 points a game on the season, something I don't think we've seen since the Mario Lemieux days. And he's getting unlucky at 5-on-5. He has a career low 5-on-5 shooting percentage, and the team is shooting a career low at 5-on-5 with him on the ice. He's doing something we haven't seen in like 20 years, and he's getting unlucky. I'm just way in. McDavid, Draisaitl, Hyman, Barry, give me all the Edmonton power play I can handle here tonight. They are my favorite line on the slate, so that's where I'm going to be putting my money. I'm in on Edmonton power play. Edmonton too, like we talked, you know, Draisaitl just went off in their last game without McDavid exploding. We talked about that game, how you can kind of, you know, use one guy and not necessarily the other, because they do have the games where the both of them go off. But like Edmonton's 2 even strength numbers just aren't very good. And I think that's part of the reason why Yamamoto's down at 2,700 is the line's just not that good. All of the value Draisaitl and Nugent Hopkins are getting come from the power play. So again, like I'm just going right back to the Edmonton power play. So yeah, McDavid, Hyman, Nugent Hopkins, Draisaitl, Barry, those are my guys here tonight. On the blue line, I like Darnell Nurse. We talked about Nurse and Bouchard in our Discord earlier today. It almost seems like Nurse is taking the shots and Bouchard is blocking the shots. Like, I don't know exactly what the partnership is there. But again, like Nurse is like he's a threat for the combo meal. He's a threat for the block shot and the shot on goal bonus. He doesn't need goals and assists to be very valuable here tonight. So I like Nurse. Obviously, Barry, if you're correlating, what do you like on the blue line here, Josh?
We Cody Ceci touts today.
I don't mind a Cody Ceci.
I'll be one. I'm doing something ridiculous tonight, and I need a $2,500 defenseman. So, Cody Ceci is going to be my lineup. So I think, you know, at min price he's okay. But I agree with you with Nurse. Like, people are kind of off him because, you know, he hasn't been blocking shots too much, but like, I don't know like why. So it's not like.
Well, here's the thing that I said in our Discord. If he's blocking fewer shots but taking more shots and the team is generating more offense with him on the ice, I'll take that trade-off. Yeah. So that's kind of where I stand on it.
He's going to get the minutes. Like, someone in our Discord is like, why did Nurse only play 21 minutes last night? I thought that was pretty funny because like only 21. He's on for like 25, 26. So like, yeah. I mean, I like Nurse. I like Bouchard. Barry, obviously, if you're doing power play. CC, if you need a punt. All right. On the Pred side, Yossi is 7,700, really expensive. But if you're full stacking Nashville won. I think that's fine. Other than that, I'm probably out on the Preds defenseman.
All right. Either goalie, like, would you take a shot on Connor Ingram here?
In GPPs, in correlated Nashville lineups, like say I was doing 150 and you said, do 10% Nashville won, and maybe like a handful of those 10%, I'd have some Connor Ingram, maybe in like 2 or 3, but because he probably does have GPP winning upside if the Preds win, and or she's the saves bonus. So I'd take a couple stabs in GPP, but it does worry me. This is back-to-back on the road against an unlucky McDavid doing something no one's done since the Lemieux era.
Yeah, and a good point in our chat, I forgot to mention, Philip Forsberg left at the end of the game last night, like the final 5 minutes or something like that, and didn't come back for overtime. So his status is in question for tonight. Now, thankfully, it's one of the early games, so we'll know whether he's in or out before the slate locks. Just keep an eye on that as the day moves on. Maybe we'll get something from a coach availability or something like that. We have partnered with Yahoo Fantasy this NHL season to bring you some great offers. Check out our exclusive limited time offer, which gets you 1 free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. To qualify, you need to be new to Yahoo, sign up for an account via the link below, deposit and play. That's it. Yahoo will send us your name after you play in your first paid contest, and we will reach out via email with your coupon. If you need immediate access, email support@awesemo.com and we'll get you set up right away. You can also claim a free $10 below, which can be used to enter any Yahoo contest. Make sure to use our DFS tools and projections designed specifically for Yahoo to give yourself the best shot at winning big. I know the prize contests aren't as big on Yahoo, but you won't see all the sharks over on Yahoo that you will. So it's a great opportunity to get not only a free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum, but to really get acclimated to DFS. Just the process of that's something people just it kind of gets overlooked. The process that you go through every day of gathering information and sorting information and finding out what's relevant and all that. Let us help you out with our DFS tools and projections. So if you're new to Yahoo, you can win 1 free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. Just check out the link below. All right, let's move it along. Columbus, 2.3 implied goal total going into Colorado. The Avalanche have a 3.3 implied goal total. The Avalanche also have a slew of injuries. Mikko Rantanen out, Valeri Nichushkin out, Andre Burakovsky, he's game time decision, but expected to play, I believe. Cale Makar and Devin Taves both out. So that looks like their top pair, their top right winger and their second line right winger all out of the lineup. To me, those look like significant losses. It appears to almost to about 40% of DFSers, they can't wait to jam in some Nate McKinnon tonight. Where do you stand on both sides of this game, Josh?
I'm conflicted on the Avs here. I get that McKinnon's projected at 49%, and I get why, but I'm not in love with the line here. Landeskog is, Landeskog, but JT Compher is a massive, I can't understate, massive downgrade from Mikko Rantanen. And yeah, he's 4,700 and he's on the top power play, but I don't know if I want to get in a 45% line here when it's Colorado not at full strength. I will say moving Cole Sillinger up into the top 6. Yeah, because the Avs don't really hard match at home, I would say, but McKinnon's probably going to get a good amount of time against that Cole Sillinger line. And
you never want to see a rookie going out against them.
Yeah,
not what you want to see.
So we were talking about early in the season how Columbus bottom 6 is terrible, and he was in the Columbus bottom 6. So the Jenner Voracek line is, I would say, average defensively. Maybe a little bit above average. I don't know. 900 high danger chances against per 60, 2.46 expected goals against. I don't know. Gustav Nyquist at this stage of his career doesn't strike me as a defensive wizard. Cole Sillinger is a rookie going against McKinnon. Oliver Borkstrand, very good offensive player, but not sure how he is defensively. So, like, I think I really like the Colorado top line tonight. It just worries me about their ownership. Like, it's a great matchup. But if it was Rantanen in there instead of Confer, I'm full sending. Because, like, Rantanen is the playmaker. Obviously, McKinnon is a great scorer and a great playmaker, but, like, Rantanen also a very good playmaker. JT Confer just kind of goes for the ride. Yeah, he just kind of goes for the ride here. So, like, Landeskog's the guy who's going to go into the dirty areas and get those greasy goals. Rantanen was the guy who would, like, create the space for McKinnon. So I'm not exactly sure what Confer does there. Like, he's just there. So, like, yeah, I get it. McKinnon's a great player. Like, I'm trying to talk it out right now. I'm working through it and I'm still conflicted, but I think I'm going to play them a good amount. I think, though, at that ownership, I'm going to be pretty far under the field. Like, if I was making 150 and they're coming in around 45, 50%, I probably have like 20%. I go way heavier on Edmonton tonight than Colorado. But I'm still going to have some of that Colorado top line because they're getting a line in the Columbus Blue Jackets. That's not good defensively. I just worry that line's not going to have the feng shui that it would if, Rantanen was there. But I get it. But at that ownership, I'd rather play Edmonton 95 out of 100 times. So while I like Colorado power play, I do like Kadri as a one-off 4,500 power play one. 22% I think is fair at that price on the top power play. On the Columbus side, that top line is going to avoid McKinnon a decent amount. Like, they're still going to see him, but not as much. They might get more of the Kadri or like the Yost matchup. They have problems creating chances, but at that ownership, 2, 3, 4%, fully correlated on the power play with Jonas Johansson in net, some injuries on the blue line. I think you can get to some Columbus one here.
Yeah. I started the day really liking Edmonton over Colorado. The biggest reason for that is Edmonton's power play and Nashville's penalty kill or penalty taking, let's say. Edmonton gets 5 power plays here tonight. They're going to beat the brakes off the Predators. If Colorado gets 4 or 5 power plays here tonight, that doesn't really change a whole lot for me. Like, it just doesn't mean anything. So, like, when I started the day, like, we had McKinnon and McDavid relatively close in ownership percentage, and I liked McDavid anyway. And now we're getting to the point where apparently that line is going to be twice the ownership of Edmonton. What are people doing? Do people realize McDavid has 17 points in 8 games? He has like 60 points in his last 20 games or something like that. It is absolutely, this is the best hockey player we've seen since Mario Lemieux. Like, okay, like, if you guys are going to give me McDavid at half the ownership of Nathan McKinnon, thank you. I like, even if I'm proven wrong and McKinnon goes off tonight, I will take that like any day of the week.
Yeah.
So, like, I do like Colorado 1. The problem is their numbers, I think, are really dependent on the defenseman. Like, if you look at Colorado's numbers, virtually any line with and without Cale Makar, guess what? They look a lot worse without Makar. And it's something we talked about earlier in the season on a Colorado slate when I think Gerard and Taves were both out and Makar and Byram were playing. It was like, who's going to move the puck after the top line? And that's kind of the same feeling I get from this Colorado game. So yeah, like, if you want to play Colorado 1 at apparently 40 to 50%, what in the name of God? Go ahead. I'll take my Edmonton 1 at less than half the ownership. Like, I don't even like, Columbus doesn't take a ton of penalties. Like, they're not a big penalty taking team. They weren't last year. They weren't the year before. Like, I don't think, like, maybe Colorado gets 4 or 5 power plays, but I don't expect them to. I don't know, man. Like, we even have them for a lower implied goal total. There's just nothing about this that I understand. And you know what happens on slates like this, where something happens that I don't understand? I get absolutely punished for it. Like, Yeah, there's something that other people are seeing that I don't, and I'm just going to get absolutely obliterated for that.
We just locked in a comp for 5-point game.
Yeah, that's exactly what's going to Sampo Ranta 3-point game. Here we go. That's exactly what's going to happen. I think I'm with you. I'd rather go to the Colorado depth. I'd rather play the second line here and get into that depth from Columbus. So I'm out on both top lines. I'd rather play both second lines. I like that Columbus second line quite a bit, actually. I'm really high on Bjorkstrand, wrote him up in the Power Plays article today. Gustav Nyquist is a good two-way player. So while Sillinger might struggle, I think his wingers can help him. And it's not like you're going into the teeth of Colorado anymore. They're just way too injured. So yeah, don't mind Columbus second line. It's what I like most out of this game. On the blue line, I mean, Sam Girard at 2,700 is going to be like 60% owned. Bowen Byram at 3,700 is the guy running the top power play unit. I don't mind Gavrikov 3,600. Like if people think Colorado is going to put up like 40 shots or something, like just be an offensive juggernaut tonight, Gavrikov's probably going to block a lot of them. So I don't mind him at 3,600. Anybody else stick out?
Not really. I mean, you make a good point. Like after Bowen Byram and Sam Girard, who's moving the puck? Jack Johnson?
No, Eric
Johnson?
Yeah, exactly.
Ryan Murray, road cone, Curtis McDermott, or whatever his name is. Like, there's no one to move the puck here. So, yeah, Girard 2,700 is wild misprice.
And like, we can't understate how much of an, like, it looks like Jack Johnson skating with Bowen Byram. That's just tossing a boat anchor to Bowen Byram and say, go skate.
Boat anchor. It's like putting the Titanic on his skates.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like Jack Johnson, top pair, 2021. 50%. Let's do it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm so confused by this game. Like, I feel like I'm dumb. Like, I feel like I'm missing something.
Yeah, that's the thing that I don't get here. Like, we've seen Colorado struggle most of the year. They're not healthy. And for some reason, they're 50% owned and way higher owned than McDavid. That's why, like, I don't necessarily buy the ownership rates because it just feels way too fishy to me that line is going to be double the ownership of the Edmonton line. Like, especially where they're at a lower implied goal total. There's something weird here that I'm not seeing. I guess we'll find out in about 6 hours time why I was completely wrong about it.
And Nashville switch places. Does the ownership switch? Like, I don't know. We'll find out.
Yeah, exactly. Like if Columbus is going into Edmonton and Nashville's on the back-to-back, like does that anyways? Yeah, like you said, we'll find out in 6 hours. That's enough rambling about the ownership for now. I suppose you're wondering about how to get into the Awesemo Hall of Fame but you know who's not anymore is our boss.
Yeah, Jake, Awesemo Hall of Fame, elite hair. The guy has it all.
Like he's getting married, just bought a house, banking 20K all the time, in the Awesemo Hall of Fame. Like, I mean, come on. Anyways, if anybody wants to join Jake in the Awesemo Hall of Fame, this is how you do it. You download the Awesemo avatar from awesemo.com/avatar. Place in the top 3 of a contest with over 5,000 contestants, and then tweet the wins to the Awesemo HOF account. That's Awesemo HOF on Twitter. And you do that, you can win a free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. You can only win 1 free month per calendar year. If you keep banking every month, you don't keep getting free Awesemo Plus accounts. You probably won't even need us if you keep banking every month. But you're seeing on your screen some of the wins we've had. Of course, Jake last night, that 20K. Congrats to him. Like we said, we know he had been kind of not struggling. He knew he was going to get there, but it was nice to see him finally get there. I think that's a basketball one that's pulled up on our screen right now. You saw, we talked about Jay Hood taking down that 6 figures, but obviously you don't need 6 figures. As we see the very next one, Pause taking down the quarter arcade for $100. That gets you the Awesemo Hoff and it'll get you a shout out from us and it'll get you a month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. You don't have to win $100,000. You could literally win $100 and get into the Awesemo Hall of Fame. Somebody did it literally yesterday in the NHL. So get into the Awesemo Hall of Fame, awesemo.com/avatar, and finish in the top 3 of a tournament with at least 5,000 contestants. And then let us know at Awesemo Hoff. All right. Let's move it along to our last game. St. Louis, 2.9 implied goal total. Going into Los Angeles, the Kings have a 2.6 implied goal total. Lias Andersson looks like he's on the top line with Anze Kopitar, with Victor Arvidsson out. Brandon Saad looks like he's back for St. Louis. He's going to be down on what I guess is the third line. I'm going to call it the second line, Bozak, Saad, and Buchnevich. And then the other two lines remain the same. I like both sides of this. There's stuff I like on both sides of this game. What do you like here quickly, Josh?
Yeah, you see all these Ranger legends on the top lines in back-to-back games, Brett Howden, Elias Anderson. Like, I don't know why Elias Anderson's up there. But anyway, Kings, I'll start with the Kings. My favorite line in this game is the highest owned one on the Kings side is the Kings second line. They have very good numbers this season. Their sample is getting up to around 80 minutes, 64% Corsi for, 3.27% expected goals for, 17 high danger chances for per 60. Like, those are very good numbers. Kempe, 2,700 on the top power play too. Philip Deneau, 2,700. Like, they are 10,400 to full stack. They're coming in at 10%. You don't need a full stack here. I think you could do like a Kempe Deneau two-man, get them in with, Edmonton power play here, and you're cooking. They're going to get probably the Bozak line, which, I don't even think these three have a sample together. So, Bozak at this stage of his career is okay. Like, he's not going to, kill you, but he's not great. Buchnevich is a very good play driving winger. He has his issues defensively. Brandon Saad's 837 years old. So, like, that Kings second line at their price, at their ownership, is one of my favorite spots on the slate in terms of value. If you want to go to that top line, I think that's fine. But, like, how long does Elias Anderson stick there? I wouldn't imagine very long. So Kings 2 for me. On the Blues side, it is Kopitar, but, like, it's Elias Anderson and Dustin Brown. And, it's not the matchup it was in, like, 2012. So I don't mind getting to some Shen Perron here at 8%. We want to throw in Kyrou, that's fine. I also like the two-man of Thomas and Tarasenko. They're going to get God knows who, probably the third or fourth line on the Kings, which is just cheeks. Like, I don't know what other adjective to use. Like, they're just bad. So on the blue side, my favorite two-man is Thomas Tarasenko.
Yeah, Thomas Tarasenko. Actually, I think that was one of the lines that I wrote up on my Power Plays article this morning. I think I just wrote about Thomas, but it was like playing that two-man makes a lot of sense because you're going against the third and fourth lines from Los Angeles. And even if they get some of the second line has been very high event this year. Like, the second line from Los Angeles, I agree with you. I like them, but they're trading chances back and forth. So I do like that Thomas Tarasenko two-man. The problem with Thomas, of course, is, like, you probably need 3 assists from him to really hit GPP value. So, maybe you want to mix in a defenseman like Torrey Krug or something like that, because if Thomas gets 3 assists, probably going to go to more players than just Tarasenko. But I do like that Los Angeles second line quite a bit. I'm with you. I follow Deneau Kempe. I follow has one of the highest shot rates in hockey this year. I don't know if anybody's noticed that. He's top 20 in the league in shot rate this year. And him and Adrian Kempe jumped up to the top power play unit yesterday in practice. So that was one thing kind of holding back their value was Kempe, I followed Deneau, were a power play unit of their own, the second power play unit, but now, a couple injuries have struck and all that. Kempe and I follow up to the top power play unit. So I'm with you. I really like that two-man, especially with Edmonton. Just note that Cale Clegg was moved to the top power play unit for Los Angeles in practice. 2,900 Cale Clegg. Matt Roy still running the second unit. That's about all I like for defensemen. I guess Colton Parayko, 4,900, we should mention. He comes out as a pretty good value for us at Awesemo.
Yeah, Clegg is a good pivot off the Byram Gerard chalk in the other game in GPPs. So I like that. Blues defenseman, a little pricey for me, but yeah, I like Clegg.
All right. We're about to get out of here, but before we do, if you could drop us a like and subscribe, help boost those numbers. We're almost at 65,000 subscribers, and we want to help, and we want you guys to be a part of it. Obviously, just don't subscribe at any time, but I think you guys will stick around. Coming up in a little bit, we have the NFL Strategy Show with Eitan and Greg coming up at 4 Eastern, and then the NBA Deeper Dive with Alex and Adam. After that, running into Live Before Lock with Eric and Greg. Following that, we have PGA Live Before Lock for anybody playing golf this week. We've got to get out of here quick. We're going to give you some goalies and hat trick picks. Josh, I'm going to ask you for yours in a second. My goalies are Marc-Andre Fleury And Cal Peterson, my hat trick pick is Alex Iafallo. Who you got?
Okay, gonna change mine.
Love it. Well, that just means like we're really excited about Iafallo here tonight.
Marc-Andre Fleury, and that's, I guess Bennington, if you aren't going to be using Kings. I think he sees decent volume tonight. And my hat trick pick is gonna be, I'm going.
Oh, come on, man.
Patty Kane again, back to back.
Back to back hat tricks for Patrick Kane. Wouldn't that be something?
Better the better.
Josh tells you what he thinks about Mitch Marner. So for Josh, for producer Tyler, I'm Michael Clifford saying good luck tonight, everybody, and we'll be back tomorrow with another NHL show.